Am I the asshole for telling my younger brother the truth about why our dad missed his graduation after our mom spent years covering for him? This has been sitting with me for months, and I genuinely don't know if I handled it right. Some background: our dad left when I, 29 female, was 14, and my brother Cole, now 20, was 8. He didn't disappear completely. He'd show up for birthdays sometimes, call on holidays, do just enough to stay in the picture without actually being present. Our mom worked insane hours to keep everything together, and she always made excuses for him. Dad had a work thing. Dad's going through a hard time. I watched her do it for years, and I understood why. She didn't want Cole to grow up feeling unwanted. I resented it, but I kept my mouth shut because it wasn't my place. Cole's college graduation was 2 months ago. Dad promised he'd be there, like actually promised. Bought a ticket and everything according to him. The morning of the ceremony, he texted Cole saying he had a family emergency. Cole was devastated, but tried to play it cool. Later that night, I found out through my aunt that Dad had gone on a weekend trip with his girlfriend and her kids. There was no emergency. He just chose them and didn't want to say it directly. I was so angry I couldn't think straight. Cole kept saying things like, "It is what it is, he's always been like this," but also defending him, saying maybe something actually did come up. I couldn't sit there and watch my mom start doing the same thing she'd been doing since I was a teenager. So I told him. I told him what I found out, and I also told him about a few other times over the years where Dad's excuses weren't real. Things I'd known about but never said. Cole went completely quiet. He didn't cry, he didn't yell. He just said, "Okay," and left the room. He's been distant with me ever since. Not angry exactly, just sort of closed off. My mom is furious with me and said I took something from Cole that she'd been carefully protecting. My aunt thinks I did the right thing. I keep going back and forth because Cole is an adult now and he deserved the truth, but maybe the timing was awful. Maybe right after graduation wasn't the moment. I don't know. Did I make things worse by finally saying it out loud?
Am I the asshole for cheating on my fiancé while strongly ovulating? I, 21 female, a proud hourglass-shaped young female, need some advice. Please be gentle. I'm very sensitive since my feelings are all over the place. It must be my least logical phase now. About a month ago, I met my fiancé, Adam, 30 male, 7 feet 7 inches, competitive bodybuilder, built like a cathedral, at the gym while I was taking beautiful mirror selfies for my fitness Instagram page. The moment our eyes met, I could practically see the Punnett squares forming in the air between us. His very masculine pheromones overwhelmed me. It was love. We started seeing each other daily at his place. He has a manly house. Sadly, no bed frame or chairs, since decoration or proper furniture is for unmanly wussies. It became obvious that my biological purpose was to provide him with strong, tall offspring. My breasts would twitch happily at the thought of future milk production, feeding little chads. I would be a boy mom. Girls are too difficult and too much drama. Last weekend, Adam was busy. Something about a regional strongman qualifier, or lifting a car for charity, or whatever. Coincidentally, my period had just ended, and I could feel myself ovulating. I felt the little egg jump off to go on a little sperm-seeking adventure. Approximately 10 days, or whatever, after my cycle, as all women do, I entered what I can only describe as feral fertility mode. Giggles. I was alone and very vulnerable. My eggs were practically sending push notifications, so I called his gay best friend, Leonardo Emiliano, to keep me company during this biologically challenging time. One thing led to another, and our bodies tangled in what I can only assume was a perfectly natural response to hormonal fluctuations. I mean, can anyone really expect a female mammal to ignore ovulation? Adam found out and called me a low-tier female, and the most hurtful words he ever said, unworthy of his alpha DNA. He said things like accountability and monogamy, which honestly sounded like weak beta cuck concepts to me. Luckily, he never said anything like empathy. This would have been the way shake that broke the powerlifter's back. So, I wrote him a cute letter. I even put glitter on it and signed it with a heart. I wrote that I am sorry I was cheating on him, but it was because I was ovulating. I'm just an emotional female, and it's in my biological nature to want to reproduce approximately 10 days after my cycle. I asked him to stop being mad for no good reason, since I am a hormonal girl driven by biology with no control over my estrogen. I apologized that I cheated, but clarified it was only because of my uncontrollable evolutionary instincts, or else I would never have asked Leonardo Emiliano to massage my plump butt cheeks or to suck my toes. I even reminded him that diversity in the gene pool can be beneficial. He hasn't responded. So, did I maybe do something wrong? Or is he just insecure about basic reproductive biology? Please be honest. Thank you for reading fellow females. And males, I guess.
Am I the asshole my friend ruined my yixing teapot and I want her to replace it or give me $500? When I went to China, I bought myself a yixing teapot. This is a clay unglazed pot that gets seasoned the more you make tea in it. Kinda like a cast iron pan. Since it is unglazed, you cannot wash it with soap or any rough sponges. You clean it by using hot water and then you let it air dry. Nothing else. This is the issue. I left for a work trip and my friend watched my cat. I paid her. I told her she can use anything in the kitchen. My yixing teapot is not in the kitchen, and neither are any of my fancy loose leaf teas for it. I have a normal kettle in the kitchen for guests to use. I can back and found the yixing teapot in my sink, and it smells like soap. It also has multiple scratched on the inside. I called her up and she told me she used it because she loved the tea I make with it. She then washed it with a rough wire sponge and used soap. She didn't know where my sponges were and didn't want to put it in the dishwasher. I tried to fix it and I couldn't. Anything in it comes out with the taste of soap, and the scratches are just getting bigger with every boil I try. It's ruined. I called her up and asked her to replace it since she ruined it. She told me to just clean it and I told her I have tried. She agreed, and I sent her to the teapot form, the same store I bought mine that was most similar. It's actually cheaper than the one I bought in China. It is about $500. She called me pissed after I sent her the link and refusing to pay it. She claims I should have told her not or use it. I pointed out that it was behind glass and I didn't think I needed to. I asked her to pay again and she is pissed. Should I just cut my losses?
Am I the asshole made lip balm as party gifts and friend tried to shame me about it? So I like making stuff. I'll just get into little things and do them here and there throughout my life. One week, I'll learn how to make jam and preserves. Another week, paint pouring. A different week, leather dyeing. You get the picture. I go often on these things, and I often just give away the stuff I make because it's not a business or a job. Anyway, so I had a party with about a dozen other women attending. A few days before, I had noticed I was running low on some of my lip balms and figured I could make my own. So, I took all my lip balms, scraped them out, melted them with some shea and mango butter, threw in some old lipsticks, let them cook and blend for a while, then poured it all into the empty lip balm containers and a few other small jars. I thought it turned out great. So, at this party, I hand these out, and most people loved them. This one woman, however, started grilling me on the ingredients. I listed off what I added and what I could remember about the original balms, though a number of them didn't have the label, not like they could all be that different. She then went on about how she won't use certain ingredients, and it's my responsibility to inform her of these, and how harmful it was to just give these without that information. I told her they were gifts, and she wasn't required to take anything. She kept getting huffy, and I told her it'd be best for her to leave. Now, some of the other guests said she was obnoxious, but I could have brushed her off, as it affected the vibe of the afternoon. So, am I the asshole?
Am I the asshole for leaving my husband with our 4-month-old baby and going to my mom's house? I 27 female, have been married to my husband, 30 male, for almost 3 years, and we have a 4-month-old baby together. Lately, things have been really tough. I feel like I'm carrying the bulk of the responsibility when it comes to raising our baby, and honestly, I'm exhausted. I love my son more than anything, but being a new mom is draining, especially with all the sleepless nights, constant feedings, and just the overwhelming pressure of it all. I've been trying to communicate with my husband about how I'm feeling. I've told him that I need more support, both emotionally and physically. It feels like I'm doing most of the work handling the baby during the night, doing all the feeding, and trying to juggle housework on top of it. I've asked him several times to step up, but it always feels like I'm being brushed off, or he gives me the excuse that he's tired from work. I get that work is exhausting, but I don't think that means he can't help at all. Anyway, things came to a head a few days ago. We had a big argument, and it got pretty heated. I told him I felt like I was alone in this, that I was handling everything on my own, and that I needed his help. His response was that I was being dramatic, and that everyone has to deal with the pressure of raising a kid. That really hurt, because it felt like he wasn't acknowledging how overwhelmed I was. I know I probably should have tried to talk things through more calmly, but I was at my breaking point. Instead of staying and arguing more, I decided to leave. I packed a bag for myself and the baby, and I went to my mom's house for a little while. I felt like I needed some space to breathe and think before things escalated further. I didn't want to make any decisions out of anger, so I thought taking some time apart might help me gain some perspective. Now, my husband is really upset that I left. He's been texting me saying that I'm overreacting and that I'm abandoning him and the baby. He also says that leaving isn't going to solve anything and that we need to be a team. I do agree with that, but right now I just don't know how to keep being a team when I don't feel like I'm getting the support I need. I'm feeling guilty, but at the same time, I think I made the right choice for my mental health. I just didn't know where else to turn. So, am I the asshole for leaving with our baby and going to my mom's house? Should I have stayed and tried to work things out immediately, or did I do the right thing by stepping away for a while?
Am I the asshole? My wife and I came home at 3 a.m. and my mother-in-law acted like we were 16 sneaking into house. My 41 male spouse, 42 female, and I had plans to go hiking and have dinner with friends. We made our kids, 16 male and 12 female, sandwiches for lunch and called my spouse's mum and asked to bring the kids dinner because we would be gone into the evening. We also told the kids we would be out late. We have left our kids at home alone multiple times and we fully trust them. We just wanted to make sure they had something decent instead of warming something up, hence asking mother-in-law to bring food. Not once did we ask her to stay, nor did we expect her to. We have told her many times, you can stay and watch TV due to her not having internet, if she wants, but she never has to stay. My spouse and I have an amazing day with great friends, and after dinner, they wanted to go back to their place to hang out more. Next thing we know, it's super late, and we get a call from mother-in-law asking where are we. We were just about to head home anyway and said we would be home soon. Flash forward to arriving home, and my mother-in-law is sitting in the living room of my house fuming. No TV on or anything. I'd love to say she was sitting in the dark, but she wasn't that dramatic. She starts getting angry at us, commenting what time it is, and how our 16-year-old shouldn't be up that late. Side note, we don't let him stay up that late all the time, but trying to manage a 16-year-old is hard enough as it is. 12-year-old had already called it a night and was asleep. Now I'm a little upset because I don't like being accosted in my own home and being treated like a child sneaking in. I proceed to tell her she did not have to stay. She was only supposed to grab dinner. She then tells us how disrespectful it is for not telling her where we were and why we were coming home so late. Now, if she had said this in a caring tone or even worried, this would not be a problem.
This came off in a very angry tone. Even when leaving, she slammed the front door. Now today she is saying it wasn't about when we came home, but rather she was worried, and we did not tell her when we were coming home or where we were. She said, "You said you were going hiking and to dinner." That statement is truth. We just went with the flow and added more onto the evening. So are we the assholes for not calling her and telling her we would be late, even though we had no idea she would be staying past getting them dinner?
Am I the asshole for bringing cheap pizza to the potluck? A 28 female recently attended a potluck at my friend's 28 female house. It was a hot tub warming event as her and husband had just got a ridiculously huge hot tub. 10 of us. We often do potluck events in our friend group, just part of the culture of our church/community, etc. Normally, I am a bit of a chef. Nothing too fancy, but I had said for this event I would be providing an entree. Usually that kind of thing does need to be dialed in because, well, we want to ultimately have dinner, not just like 12 different kinds of chocolate chip cookies. Well, I was running late from a very busy weekend and just got into a pinch, so I had to pick up $6 pizzas from that national chain. IDK, if I'm allowed to say specific brands, but let's just call it Tiny Roman Guy's Pizza. I got 3 and felt that was more than enough. There are 2 other mains/entrees. So I show up and the host is fine and everything, and no one complained directly. But over the course of the night, 3 people told me that I was getting roasted in the hot tub when I went to the bathroom. Things like that, it's terrible pizza for teens, and we are too old to eat pizza like that. And one person even said that it's an affront to pizza itself. Cursed flatbread. It was described as joking, but maybe even just that no one said anything directly made me feel worse. I know it's kind of the cheapest food out there, but gosh, is it actually rude to show up with Tiny Roman Guys? The worst I can say is that it was the cheapest entree there, probably by about $30, but I just don't know it would go over so poorly. After feeling ashamed, there was only half a pizza left, so I feel like how bad can it really be? Clearly it got eaten. So am I the asshole?
Am I the asshole for walking out when I found out my daughter wasn't mine? I, 45 male, was married to my beautiful wife, Sharon, 43 female, for 25 years. We had a beautiful daughter, 21 female, Cindy. At the age of 18, I started a job in trades, resulting in me very quickly making 7 figures. My wife nor daughter never wanted for anything. I had it all. A hot wife that I banged every night, a smart and kind daughter, large pecs and abs, thanks to my personal trainer Kaidi, 23 female. Everything was perfect. Until it all went south. My daughter had her wedding last weekend to an amazing guy. I really wanted to speak at the wedding, but was stumped on how exactly to phrase everything. However, the night before, I happened to watch Maury, the paternity court show, and thought it would be a great idea to open the speech up with how glad I am that I am her father. So I rushed my nearest paternity court clinic with her and my DNA and got a paternity test. I was planning on holding it up while on the stage for extra shock value. I confidently walked on stage, envelope with the results in hand, looking at my baby girl in her white gown, standing next to her mother. As part of my speech, I started, I have brought a paternity test because I am so proud to have you, Cindy, as my daughter that I want to read these results out loud for everyone to hear. When I mentioned the paternity test, my wife's face went pale. She begged me not to continue, but I thought she was just a bit emotional because menopause or something. I cheerfully opened the envelope with no doubt in my mind that Cindy was my daughter, until I read the results out loud. Cindy, My heart sunk to my pecs as I read the next line. Am not your father. The whole venue broke out in gasps, screams and whispers, but no one was more upset than me. My beautiful daughter that I loved for 21 years was actually a stranger's child this whole time. I marched off the stage and screamed at my wife over the whole thing. Cindy was clearly angry at her mother too, as she also did not know about this. She tried to hug me, but I shoved her away since I want nothing to do with a child who isn't mine. I called my divorce lawyer and was divorced the very next day. All the assets were in my name, and I was able to prove that the divorce wasn't my fault via a video copy of my reading of the paternity results at the wedding. Sharon, Cindy, her husband, and the dog, also not mine, are all living in hotels because I took the house too. Cindy has tried to reach out a few times, but I'm just as angry at her as I am her mother. I spent 21 years worth of money on a random person's child. I screamed at her to pay me back all 21 years of money that she owed me, amounting to over 4.5 million, because I wasted it all on a stranger's child. She pleaded with me to reconsider and said it was ridiculous for me to instantly lose all love for her just because of the results. I laughed in her face because how and why would I love a child that isn't mine? I told her that she's a stranger to me, then hung up. My family is split. Some say I ended things over a piece of paper. Others say I did the right thing, and are also demanding refunds for anything they bought Cindy. So am I the asshole?
Am I the asshole for accidentally telling my parents about my sister's pregnancy because I was tired of keeping the secret? I, 24 female, have a younger sister, 21 female. We're not really close, but we're not enemies either. We always had a competitive sibling dynamic. About 2 months ago, she told me she was pregnant. It wasn't planned, and she was freaking out about how our parents would react. They're pretty traditional and can be judgmental. She made me promise not to tell anyone. Like full, you cannot say a word until I'm ready serious. I agreed, but I was hesitant about it. She still lives at home, and I visit my parents pretty often. My mom kept making comments to me about how my sister has been moody and gaining weight, and asked if I knew what was going on. Every time I had to pretend I didn't. I started getting tired of keeping this up quickly. I also felt weirdly left out of everything. She wouldn't update me much, but expected me to cover for her constantly. I was lying to keep her cover, but I had no idea what was going on, and I felt used. Last weekend, my mom directly asked me if my sister was pregnant. I hesitated and finally gave in. I think you should talk to her, which obviously confirmed it. My mom confronted her immediately. It turned into a huge blow-up fight. My sister is furious and says I betrayed her and stole the chance for her to tell them on her own terms. I told her I didn't outright say she was pregnant, I just didn't deny it. And honestly, I was tired of carrying the secret around my parents. She says I made it about me because I was uncomfortable for a few weeks, while she's been dealing with something life-changing. Now she won't answer any of my texts. Part of me feels guilty because I did promise, but another part of me feels like I shouldn't have been put in that position in the first place. Am I the asshole?
Am I the asshole for refusing to lend my sister money after she never paid me back the first time? Am the asshole and a 27 male have a younger sister, 24 female, who I've always tried to support. About a year ago, she asked to borrow a decent amount of money because she was behind on rent. She promised she would pay me back within 2 months. I didn't hesitate and transferred it the same day. 2 months passed, then 3, then 6. Every time I gently brought it up, she'd say she was struggling but would sort me out soon. Eventually, she stopped bringing it up entirely. I never got a single payment back, not even a small one. Last week, she called me again asking for another loan because her car needs repairs. I told her I wasn't comfortable lending her more money until she paid back what she already owes me. She got upset and said I was being selfish and that family is supposed to help each other. Our mom even called me, saying I should just help her out and stop keeping score. I told them both that helping doesn't mean being taken advantage of. Now, my sister isn't speaking to me, and my mom says I've damaged the relationship over money. I feel guilty because I know she's struggling, but I also feel like I'm just setting a boundary after being burned once already. Am I wrong for refusing the second loan and possibly embarrassing her by bringing up the unpaid debt? Am I the asshole? Am I the asshole for asking out a girl who was working? I, 18 male, went to Wendy's with my friends. By the time we got there, the girl working up front was my type. She was beautiful. My friends saw that I liked her and they encouraged me to ask her out. I was a little weary because I don't even know this girl, but I thought to myself, what the heck? I decided to make my move on her. I walked up to her and told her I thought she was pretty and let her know that I'd like to get to know her better. She laughed in my face. She told me that no girl wants a guy who she literally has never even spoken to before. She then told me that I'm an asshole for asking out a random person who's working. My friends told her that she's tripping. We left and went to a different restaurant, but I've been thinking about what she told me. Am I the asshole?
Am I the asshole for refusing to go to my sister-in-law baby shower and the rest of the family is following? This started soon after my brother married Ruby. At the time, everyone seemed to really like her, and my older sister and I were part of her bridal party. Her wedding was around 5 years ago. Soon, they were talking about trying to kids, and they were struggling with infertility issues. Ruby was quite upset, but it got a lot worse when my older sister, she was 26 at the time, got pregnant. Ruby was snappish and mean to my oldest sister, and people tried to be very mindful since she was struggling. When the baby was born, Rudy didn't send anything. I got pregnant my senior year of college. It was an oops baby, and I only told my mom because I was unsure what to do. I was a heavy drinker at family events, and when I wasn't drinking, my grandma joked I must be pregnant, and my face gave it away. That is how it came out. I didn't plan to tell the family like that. Ruby, in short, lost her shit at me. She yelled at me about how I don't deserve a kid and called me a lot of names. My mom tried to make her stop, but she yelled at her also, and told my mom she deserved the stillbirth she had. The whole thing was horrible. When I gave birth and I posted pictures online, she made a post saying some people don't deserve kids. She has not apologized. The issue, Ruby is pregnant and she is having her baby shower. All the women in the family got an invite. I talked to my mom about it and decided not to go. My mom is also not going, and everyone seems to be following my lead on this. We all RSVP'd no, and my brother called me asking me to come. I told him no, and it started an argument. He says his wife has been crying about being hated by the family and want everyone to make up. I told him that isn't my problem and this is her fault. He wants me to suck it up and come still and has texted me multiple times about it. I know if I don't go, no one else will, especially since my mother hates Ruby after that argument.
Am I the asshole for reporting my brother to the IRS after he disappeared on a $15,000 loan I co-signed, left me paying $16,400, then tried to claim it as his tax deduction? My brother handed me a pen and said, "It's just your name. You won't feel a thing." I signed, and I didn't feel a thing. Not yet. The loan was $15,000. Personal, unsecured. The kind banks hand out when two people share the liability and one of them has decent credit. My brother had the charisma and the plan. I had the 720 score and the ability to trust someone I'd known my entire life. He was starting a small equipment rental business. He had a client lined up. He had a verbal contract. He had everything except the one thing that actually mattered, which was integrity. He made the first payment. I remember because he texted me a screenshot like he'd just climbed Everest. "See? Told you. Easy." That was November. By January, the calls started. Not from him, from the lender. Every night, 8 p.m. The same recorded voice telling me my account was past due and that failure to respond could result in legal action. I picked up once thinking it was a real person. It wasn't. It never was. I'd lie in bed and watch 7:58 become 7:59 become 8 o'clock and my stomach would drop every single time. I called my brother the first week. He picked up and said he'd handle it. The second week, voicemail. Third week, straight to voicemail. By the end of month 2, I was texting into a void. By month 3, his number was disconnected entirely. Not changed. Disconnected, like he'd packed up a life and left me holding the wreckage. I drove to my parents' house because I didn't know what else to do. My mother cried. My father said, "You know how he is?" That sentence. You know how he is, said like it was weather, like it was just a thing that happened to people sometimes, like hail or a broken furnace. I sat at their kitchen table and thought about how many times in my life I'd heard that sentence used to excuse him. I paid the first catch-up installment out of my savings. I told myself it was temporary, that he'd resurface, that there was some explanation. People don't just disappear, except he did. For 14 months, that 8 p.m. call was my alarm clock to reality. Every payment I made was money I'd saved for something else. For a car that didn't shake on the highway, for a security deposit on a place of my own, for anything other than a debt I didn't ask for. 14 months. Do you know what 14 months of collection anxiety does to a person? I stopped answering my phone entirely unless I recognized the number. I had a recurring nightmare where I was signing something and my hand kept moving even after I told it to stop. I paid off the final balance in January. The full remaining amount, which by then with fees and interest had grown to just over $16,400. I sat in my car in a parking lot after I hit submit and just stared at the dashboard. I told no one, not my parents, not anyone. I just absorbed it. Then tax season came. My mother called me in February, casual, asking if I'd gotten my mail. I asked what mail. She said my brother had sent some documents to their address and asked if I knew anything about it. Something in her voice was off. I drove over. He'd filed his taxes using my parents' address, and in the filing, certain documents referenced my name, my old cosigner information, and attempted to claim a loss deduction tied to the loan. The loan I had paid off, using my credit, under my name. He was trying to use a financial wound I'd bled through for over a year as a tax benefit for himself. I sat with that for about 45 seconds. Then I called the IRS fraud hotline. I filed a 14039 identity theft affidavit. I documented everything. The original loan agreement, the payment records, the 14 months of collection notices I'd saved in a folder on my phone because some part of me knew I'd need them someday. The final payoff statement, the date his number went dead. The text screenshots from those first weeks where he promised he'd handle it. I handed all of it to the fraud investigator who called me back within the week. My parents found out when the investigator contacted them to confirm the address situation. My mother called me, and this time she wasn't casual. She was upset, not at him, at me. She said I was destroying the family over money. I told her the money was $16,400 and asked if she had a number in mind where it stopped being about money. She didn't answer that. My brother surfaced 3 weeks later. First contact in over a year. He sent a text from a new number, which is how I knew the old disconnect was a choice and not a hardship. The text said, "I can't believe you did this to me. I was going to pay you back." I read it twice. Then I saved it to the folder. The IRS investigation flagged his return. His refund was frozen pending review. The fraud report I filed also triggered a secondary review of the prior year's return, which apparently had some inconsistencies the investigator mentioned without elaborating. My parents were interviewed. My brother had to retain someone to deal with it, which I imagine cost him something he wasn't prepared for. He hasn't contacted me again. My credit took almost 2 full years to fully recover. I still flinch at 8 p.m. sometimes. Not every night, but sometimes. I don't feel guilty about the report. I feel guilty about the signing. That's the part I'd change. Not the part where I stopped letting someone use my name like it was a commodity they'd found on the side of the road. My parents still think I went too far. My mother said I should have handled it privately. I asked her what private handling looked like after 14 months of silence and a fraudulent tax filing. She said I knew how he was, so was I wrong for filing the fraud report?